There are no expenditures this evening over $1,000. And we now go to the mayor's report, please. Councilwoman?
Yeah, I have an issue here. Can I speak?
No.
Well, I'll yield. This go right ahead.
You have your report.
You want to wait till your report? Or you want to do it then?
I won't forget. I can do it later.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. The only item I have to report on this evening is the City of Maple Heights will receive next year almost $169,000 for the water line replacement on Cato Street between Libby Road and North Boulevard. This was the second highest rated project. This will be done in partnership with the Cleveland Division of Water, and since this road will more than likely be destroyed by this construction, we are going to try to get additional curb work and asphalt repaving done to give the residents there a new street. And that's all I have, and I will end my report. Thank you.
Excellent news. Thank you. Council reports, beginning with Councilman Jackson, District 4.
I just have one thing I want to start bringing up now. Again, this time of the year, we're going to see snow, unfortunately, probably pretty soon. Yeah, I said the S word. And last year we had some major issues with some of our companies up and down Warrensville Road, Northville, Lee Road, with companies not shoveling their walks. And this has become a big issue. So I just want to start saying now that I would like to get with the building department and send some letters to these companies requesting that they remove snow from their sidewalks in front of their businesses. That's all in the report.
Thank you. Councilman Brownlee, District 5.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, Councilman Jackson brings up the shoveling of the sidewalks. That was brought up last year, that we have an ordinance on the books for shoveling the sidewalks for everyone, not just businesses, but for every residential property as well, required to clear your sidewalks of snow. But that has not been enforced since I can recall in the 4 years I've been here. I've never seen that enforced. I do think it's a shame, because especially a lot of our students are walking to school in the wintertime. Where are they going to walk if the sidewalk is not cleared? The only other option necessarily is the street. So my plea would be twofold. Residents can clean their sidewalks, as do I and my neighbors themselves, without being told to do so. My second plea would be that the administration would enforce the law and require clearing of sidewalks so that we can have clear passage for our students and anyone else who wants to use the sidewalk. Concerning Maple Heights News, as I announced last time, we are looking for individuals who would like to participate in Maple Heights News, to continue the work there, to help educate people about what's going on, as well as how things work, when events are coming up, when meetings are coming up, and also people who would like to see what's going on in the schools, because we don't have much of that on the website as of right now. So if there's anyone who's interested, you can feel free to reach out to us by simply Googling Maple Heights News and going to the website and contacting us, or you can reach out to me directly. Concerning the resolution tonight for the lawsuit, the settlement for the lawsuit regarding violations of the Ohio Sunshine Laws, I think what we're seeing is the phenomenon called escalation of commitment, where you decide to do something and you're not all that committed to it, but once you make that one decision, suddenly you're in, and so in order to keep it going, you make a little bit more of a commitment. And once you've made that commitment, well, I'm really in now, so you start to make more of a commitment. This is honestly foolishness beyond belief. Council clearly violated the sunshine laws. It can't get clearer, and it's on videotape. It can be watched by any judge and see clearly the law was violated. Counsel is pleading, or our legal counsel is pleading with the members of council, settle this. It was supposed to be settled back in the spring for about $10,000 or $11,000 for the legal fees of the attorneys. That has more than doubled now because council, instead of doing that, decided to spend $2,500 of its own money to try and sue me for ridiculous things like not supporting a tax levy. That's not actionable. So they spent more of our money to introduce a frivolous lawsuit, which was quickly withdrawn because they could have been sued for frivolous litigation. So they withdrew it, and now they've waited how long? That happened back in May and June. It is now December. 6 months have transpired. They've been told to get this finished, wrap it up. There's no denying it. Yet they stood here and every single one voted no. And Mr. Adams was even so bold as to say, and we'll win. Win? There's no winning to be done. This is the stubbornness, the absolute abject stubbornness of your elected officials. But here, this is the problem. It's the attitude of Maple Heights city government, more than any particular individual. It's an attitude of we get to do what we want, when we want, and get out of our way. That's the same attitude that exposed itself a year and a half ago when I was cast out of a council meeting unlawfully.
Madam Chair,
and it has continued. It has continued.
This is currently in litigation.
It has continued.
I advise Mr. Browning not to say anything.
It has continued on.
John, he doesn't hear you.
It has continued on for the last 18 months. I pray that Maple Heights, the residents, wake up to see that there's a severe problem in its government. From council to the mayor's office to the building department, there are serious problems in Maple Heights. If those problems aren't fixed, you can have all the money in the world and you are not going to see this place turn around. You can have all the taxes in the world and it won't help. The attitude of government really, really has to change. People don't like to talk about snow, but I actually like snow. I enjoy it. So do my kids. So we'll be out there plowing or shoveling our sidewalk, not plowing it, shoveling our sidewalk and clearing it off, because we like to see that people can walk down at least our stretch of that sidewalk. They don't have to worry about getting that snow in their shoes when they're walking to school or slipping and sliding on the ice. So I would ask that you would consider doing that as the snow begins to fall, that you would take care of that you would consider not just yourself, but consider those who want to use that sidewalk, walk in front of your house. You should care about that as residents. With that, may God bless you and may God bless Maple Heights.
Councilman Trojanski, District 6.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Just want to report for next Thursday, December 10th, at the library at 7 o'clock in the auditorium, having the last District 6 community meeting. It's just going to be a meeting for District 6 residents to come out and hear what's happening in the city, as well as for them to address any concerns they have. So that will be, again, Thursday, December 10th at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. Please come out if you can make it. This past Monday, I had an opportunity to come out to the high school. Dr. Griffin, who is the marketing instructor, invited me to come out and talk to the students about how do local officials market their campaigns. And so I spoke with the students about how a candidate goes about marketing him or herself in an election. And then I also had the opportunity to ask the students what type of things they want to see in the community, how they like to be involved, and so more so we exchange information. So I'm looking forward to getting our young people involved in the community, because our students, they have ideas, they have energy, and they have a vision, and it's very integral that we're getting them involved in the community. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity next year, working with these students. And finally, the deadline is approaching for the District 6 Holiday Decorating Contest, and I'll be announcing the winners at the next council meeting on December 16th. And with that, I end my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Agee, District 7.
Good evening. No report.
Councilman Adams, District 1.
Had a few phone calls about potholes in the district. And also we had a break-in on Cork Hill, which the street captain saw in progress and called the police. They was there, right there. The kids removed the air conditioner out of the window and they gained access. Did not catch them. But this is the time, this December, everybody's looking for money. So make sure you're well aware and watch your neighbor on both sides and across the street. And that's how that robbery was stopped. Well, Bill has his own way of thinking. I got my way of thinking. I think I'm, 30-some years older than Bill, and I am stubborn. But, I don't want to say too much about this lawsuit. We already stated, and I did, that we was only following a procedure that was always took place here at Maple. We had no ill intent against Mr. Brownlee on either one. We tried to save his face, tried to do him a favor. He did not want to bargain with us like a man. He wanted to go out and make some money on your tax bill. Hey, we could have settled that in 2 minutes, any normal person, but that didn't happen. And we did nothing wrong. Now, I'll go to my grave saying that. And of course he's going to say what he's going to say because he sued us. And he's spending your money. He's going to say that. So it's that end of report.
Thank you, Alex. Councilwoman Jones, District 2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do remember the question that I had before, and feel free to have somebody explain this to me, because I may be wrong or I may have heard this wrong. When we were voting on 21572, Mr. Law Director, there was 2 people that had to approve us passing this legislation. And then Mr. Brownlee, after we voted, says that if you approve this legislation, you couldn't vote no for it. Now, we did the same thing in 2015-81, and I didn't hear anybody comment to that effect on this. So are we picking and choosing what we're defending and what we're not, or are we actually going to be consistent in what we're talking about? And I don't understand this because I'm not an attorney. I'm here to help legislate and to run the city, not worry about some of the things I don't understand, and I'll just admit it. But to me, this seemed like there was a strong contradiction here, and I need to have clarity on this. And I'm sorry, and I apologize to the audience, but that was one of the discussions that I was having with my co-counsel person who's not going to be here next year. So I'll have to find a new person to co-counsel with. So could somebody please explain that to me? Thank you.
Well, I think the issue was whether a person who made a motion can vote in the negative, which I've never heard of that rule, if it does exist in Robert's rules. It's always been our practice.
But we're also governed by the charter and by the ordinances of the city. But if we're going to call Robert's rules out on a piece of legislation that we're voting on for one particular instance, then why isn't there consistency? So that's the only thing that I had, and I will have a much fuller report at the next council meeting. So thank you, and the report.
Thank you. Councilman Separati, District 3.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you don't see any consistency because of the person who's bringing up the points, but everybody can have their own opinion on that. I want to say, hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving. It was nice out. It was like 58 degrees, which was very nice, which I would gladly pay for all of you all winter long, you know, especially during the winter, but not possible in this area. I wanted to just make a quick comment on the exterior inspection. It's my opinion that the residents and the investors would be better served with a piece of legislation reducing the escrow amounts to possibly, my opinion would be about 65%, because over the years we've heard that 100% match, it does work. We've seen positive, we've seen negative, but when you're buying a house and you have to come up with $10,000, $15,000, it's hard to come up with that kind of money. And yes, you can get a bond, but I think that would be a neutral ground for something that is positive. So that's something for people to consider on the new council, and hopefully they'll discuss it and they'll hear all those points again. So also wanted to point out it also relates to what you're seeing is, in my opinion again, is you're seeing the groundwork being laid for the battle, propaganda battle, for someone's opinion to reestablish the building department within the city operations. As of right now, it is not in the city operations, it's a private company. It does to me, because I honestly think there's an ulterior motive with it, and you set the examples, you accept the stories, and then you go from there, and then you come up with a great idea and say, hey, let's reestablish the building department inside city limits. Well, we don't have the money for that right now. Okay, you know, we're 2.5 in the hole. We cannot reestablish the building department as it was. And to be honest with you, we had the same problems then, because you had building commissioner, you had inspectors, and the people who were getting the inspections, and there was contradictions galore. So, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, but that's my opinion, and I just think that it's not going to go away. But, you know, I'm not going to be around in office for that, so you can have that battle there. Other than that, I'm going to end my report and pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. I can't possibly address all of the dissension that went on again tonight, but I do believe that the inspections are very, very important, and I would lobby against dropping it if it comes up again. There is a better way to do it, I'm sure, and there's a nicer way of going in and putting the violations forward. But if we stop inspections in this city, I think our housing stock just goes down even more than it did when we first stopped in the early 2007, 2008, when I first came in. We dropped the inside inspections, and that's when the housing stock really, really started to deteriorate. Folks don't want to put hundreds and hundreds of dollars into their housing if they don't have to, so they'll try to go around it. And I'm sure everyone would try to do that because it's expensive. But just unitarily dropping all of the inspections with the threat of the Fourth Amendment is kind of it's kind of way out there. Anyway, we will be back. We have meetings and a whole slew of meetings coming up. 2 public meetings will be coming up in December next week and the week after to look at the budget, and council will be reviewing both budgets, and also the fiscal emergency meeting will be held here at the Senior Center on the 17th of December, and that again will be presenting somewhat of a plan that we will go down to Columbus eventually, and we will also be voting on that eventually. So we have a whole schedule of meetings, and that will be presented as we go along week by week, and we'll hope to see you next meeting, which would be the 16th. And in the meantime, I hope you have a good evening, because this is an early night for us. And this meeting will be adjourned at 7:55. Thank you very much for coming.